Alright, what's going on, everybody? I'm back again today, and I'm doing my first video on the first DC Future State comic book that I've read. I will be reading them all. I know I said in my video about Infinite Frontier that I would not be reading it. Um, Over this past weekend, I stopped in at my local comic book store, and I saw that they had the complete story Doomsday Clock in like trade paperback form, and I hadn't read it since I'd read it like as it came out, in its individual issues. So I bought that and I reread that over the past weekend, and I loved the story the very first time I read it. And I understood what it implied, like what the ramifications of Doomsday Clock were. But it I still had a problem with DC Comics because I still was not a very big fan. While Doomsday Clock did fix almost everything that I did not like about DC, it pretty much just reset everything back to the pre-Flashpoint continuity. It kept in a lot of good stuff that came out of the New 52 era, but for the most part it reverted us back to pre-Flashpoint continuity, which is my favorite continuity of DC that there's ever been. So Doomsday Clock pretty much fixed everything. The only problem with it was that it kind of canonized Dark Knight's Metal, and then anyone who's been reading Dark Knight's Death Metal, you know that it kind of plays off of Doomsday Clock. Like, it references Dr. Manhattan and stuff like that. So, you couldn't have one without the other. Like, Doomsday Clock was a good story, but it didn't get rid of Dark Knight's Metal. It didn't negate Dark Knight's Metal. And I was not a big fan of Dark Knight's Metal. I thought I liked it up until the ending, and I just thought that the ending was really corny and cheesy and childish in the way that, like, all the heroes, they honest to God, they saved the day and won their victory by standing in a circle, holding hands, and using the magical power of friendship and believing in yourself and never giving up and being positive. And it saved their universe. They saved their universe with the power of friendship. Like, how corny and cheesy can you be? And so that, and I really did not like them introducing this idea that there's more than one multiverse. Like, come on, really? It's a multiverse. Like, how do you have more than one of those? It doesn't make sense. It's like, how would you know where one multiverse ended and another began? Because you're already jumping from alternate reality to alternate reality. Like, when are you going to know you've hit a different multiverse? You're not. There's no way to know. It doesn't make sense. It's just DC loving the smell of their own farts, and just they have their heads stuck up so much, up their butt so much. You can tell I'm not a fan of Dark Knight's Metal. Dark Knight's Death Metal, better, but once again, it's kind of like, in order for me to accept Dark Knight's Death Metal, I have to then embrace Dark Knight's Metal. They kind of go hand in hand. It's the same thing with Doomsday Clock, but after having reread Doomsday Clock this past weekend, all together in trade paperback form, just reading this story from beginning to end, I gotta say I've come to the conclusion that I'm just gonna DC's won. In my mind, DC has won. They've won me over, and Dark Knight's Metal, Dark Knight's Death Metal, it's behind us. It was a tiny era in the grand scheme of things with DC, and if I would just shut up and stop complaining, I've got now my entire pre-Flashpoint continuity is now recanonized, and there's the promise of new cool stuff that we're going to get from DC moving forward now that Death Metal is done. So if I just shut the fuck up and I just embrace Dark Knight's Metal and Death Metal and just deal with it, I'd probably be happier in the long run, and that's what I've decided to do. So, that being said, I've decided from here on out, I'm gonna, now that we're back to having a cohesive DC storyline, yes, it contains story arcs that I think are kind of dumb, but it's still cohesive. It's a cohesive narrative. Now that we're back to that, I'm gonna go ahead and be reviewing a lot of just new stuff DC puts out. If I'll be more willing to give them a chance. And today we've got the very first Future State comic that I read. I've read two of them, so which ones did I pick up on? I believe it was Thursday. I picked up The Next Batman, Superman of Metropolis, Future State The Flash, Future State Swamp Thing, Future State Wonder Woman, #1. All these are #1s. And Future, obviously, and Future State Harley Quinn. And so far out of all these, I've read the next Batman and Superman of Metropolis from the Future State series. And I will be doing a video on all of them as I read them. But that's enough intro. Let's go ahead and get into talking about the next Batman. So the next Batman takes place, I want to say probably like 10 years into DC's future. And Gotham, as you can see by the cover here, this is the cover of the #1 issue. It's very cyberpunky. It has advanced. There's like helo drones, light up glow in the dark neon helipads. Everything looks very cyberpunky. It's only 10 years into the future, but apparently Gotham's going to advance by then. And the plot of this is that Bruce Wayne is no longer Batman in this future. It is actually Luke Fox is Batman. At least as of right now, we're being led to believe that it's Luke Fox. A lot of this promotional artwork shows that it's Luke Fox. The comic book itself leans you into believing that it's Luke Fox. But as you can see here, his mask does not have an open mouth region. It's completely blocked. So we're kind of led to believe, like, due to this promotional artwork, that it's Luke Fox. But I'm telling you right now, we never in the actual comic book. I'm holding it in my hands as we speak. In this comic book, at least the first issue, we never see Batman in the costume, but just not wearing the mask. Like, we see Luke Fox, and he's wearing like normal civilian clothes, and then we see Batman, and he's got the full costume on with the full face cowl now that hides his face completely. We never see Batman to give us any kind of idea. We never see Batman in a way that would give us any kind of idea who is really behind the cowl. But right now we're being led to believe it's Luke Fox, Lucius Fox's son. Why it's not Dick Grayson, we don't know yet. Why is it not Tim Drake? We don't know. Why is it not Damian Wayne? We don't know. Why is it not Jean-Paul Valley? We don't know. We don't know much. All we know is it's about 10 years into the future. I think it's exactly 10 years into the future. And Bruce Wayne is... I get the vibe that most people think he's dead. It doesn't quite say. This comic, a lot of it is somewhat narrated to us by Luke Fox. And at one part, he even says something along the lines of like, Mom doesn't want me to be like Bruce because something happened to Bruce. Here it is. Mom says I can't be like Bruce. Thing is, since Bruce got ... Well, since the whole city's fallen apart. Was Bruce really the one thing keeping Gotham together? So I think what he was about to say there was, Mom says I can't be like Bruce. Thing is, since Bruce got killed, the whole city's fallen apart. But he didn't say killed, so I don't know what the deal is. We don't know what the deal is with Bruce. Bruce is gone, though. And why one of his other Robin proteges is not the new Batman, I don't know. Maybe they've all been captured, because the new villain, the new antagonist in this series is this organization called the Magistrate. And a lot of heroes and a lot of villains are actually fighting this organization. It's like a paramilitary mercenary force that is kind of holding Gotham. Imagine the plot of like Dark Knight Rises, where Bane kind of held Gotham captive, except a little more V for Vendetta-ish. Like this organization, the Magistrate, they're all about instilling law and order, whatever the cost. So like there's martial law has been declared in some sections of the city. There's curfews, like all constitutional rights have been suspended. We're not really told just how this organization came to have power, because I think that's something that they're going to want to build up to in their Infinite Frontier stories. However, we know that it does have damn near complete control of Gotham, and people are not really allowed to go in and out. It's kind of like a Berlin Wall type situation. If they catch you trying to leave Gotham, like they will fuck you up. And a lot of the villains, not just heroes, like here we see Katana. She's been known to try and like help bring people across the border to get them out of Gotham, where they can go back to living lives as free Americans. She's been known to fight the Magistrate and help out, and she does in this issue. Astrid Arkham, who is the Arkham Knight, is leading her own band of Arkham Knights, which is pretty much made up of former Batman DC villains. and they all kind of wear armor similar to hers, and she carries the shield and sword. They kind of fight against the magistrate because, I mean, all this law and order is not good for crime, right? So the villains are like, we're not cool with this either. Um, so yeah, the magistrate is this new enemy in Gotham. So far, other than like minor supporting characters like Katana, the only Batman protege that we've seen so far that we're familiar with is, like I said, Luke Fox, who I'm pretty sure is the next Batman, and then Duke Thomas, I believe his name is. He also appears in this issue, and he's another person who's kind of like trying to. He goes back and forth across the border, trying to like get people out of the city so they can go back to living free American lives. But he's also trying to carry on Bruce's legacy and fight. He's still wearing that like yellow Power Ranger suit with the bat logo on the chest, but he's not really wearing a mask or any kind of helmet. So I don't know if he ever did, but he's not in this issue. So Bruce Wayne is supposedly dead, I think. I don't know if his secret identity has been exposed. I don't know if that happened prior to him dying, quote unquote dying, because if you've been paying attention to all the future state news, you know Bruce Wayne's not dead. They think he's dead, but he's not dead. He's actually going to be back in his own future state series called Dark Detective. And I'm really looking forward to reading that one. But here's some more photos. This is not from the comic book. This is just like concept art I was able to find. This is a pretty good rendition of what the new Batman's suit looks like, and I like it. I think it pays homage to having the black underwear trunks without actually having them, and yeah, I like it overall a lot. It's pretty sweet. Here's a picture of him fighting against magistrate thugs, mercenaries. Really good. And a lot of this first issue, it didn't really show him fighting people as much as it showed him saving people. Specifically these two kids, because in Gotham, wearing a mask, being whether you're a masked criminal or a masked hero like vigilante, doesn't matter. If you were caught out wearing a mask, you're not allowed to hide your face. Only the magistrate is allowed to wear stuff that hides their face. Within the boundaries of Gotham, within the borders of Gotham, you are not allowed to wear any kind of article of clothing that would hide your face, and if you do, magistrate soldiers and forces are allowed to shoot you on sight. So they've outlawed everything, not just like super villains, they've also outlawed superhero, masked vigilante type people as well. And there's this one gang in this comic book issue that kind of models themselves off of Bane, and they're trying to initiate these two new kids, and all they have to do is shoot a rival gang member. Well, these kids almost get shot by the magistrate because they're wearing like Bane masks, and Batman actually comes in and saves them. He saves another dude too who's actually a criminal. He's like a serial rapist, I think they say, but he's wearing a mask, running away. Batman tracks him down, ties him up, and then pulls the mask off of his face. And yeah, like he saves people just as well as he fights crime. He is doubting himself a little bit. At one point, he starts to talk about how, like, I don't know how Bruce used to do this, blah blah blah. Back when he at one point he says something about not being the real Batman, and then he takes it back like immediately. Let's see what he says. Oh, he says, I don't know how the real Batman ever, like, he started to say, I don't know how the real Batman ever managed to get all this stuff done and do all this, and then he immediately like cuts himself off. I don't know how the real Batman ever, nah, check that, I am the real Batman. So he is doubting himself a little bit, but he's also trying to rein that in and kind of like control and be like, hey man, Bruce is gone, apparently everybody else is gone, you can't be doubting yourself and second guessing yourself because you're all the city has. So overall, I really like it. I think it has a lot of promise. I can't wait for the next issue, and I really want to see this Dark Detective series so that we know what the deal is going on with like actual Bruce Wayne. So yeah, that's my overall. I liked it, and I'm looking forward to more. Out of the two that I've read, the next Batman and Superman in Metropolis, Future State is pleasing me so far. So more to follow on that. Please hit the like button if you like this video. Check out some of my other videos. Maybe subscribe to the channel if you like, and I will see you guys next time.